Kלים Periki Daled, Mishnah Daled. And we're now going to plough on, excuse the pun. Hatmein Sheba Agola. We're dealing with an Agola, a wagon, being pulled, or a ploughshare being pulled by two bulls. We're dealing with the various parts of the keli called the yoke. Now this Mishnah is dealing with the pieces when they're separate. When it's all together, we'll deal with that in a later period. Now we're dealing when they're separate pieces. What metal components are a kli in their own right? And we start off with the actual yoke, oil shel mateches. And every one of these mishnayos items mentioned in the Mishnah, there are different pshatim. The oil shel mateches will stick to one mahalach, one pshat. You have the two bulls, and on top of their neck lies horizontally a big metal pole lies on their neck. That's called the oil, made out of metal. By itself is a kli. Katrov. Underneath the bull's necks is another piece of metal. So the top metal of the oak and the bottom piece of metal are joined by two pieces of wood. We're not interested in the pieces of wood because they're wood. But the metal one underneath is called a katrov, and that's also called a kli tashmish b'fnei atzmai. Haknafayim hamakablos es horotzuos. Just show you a picture quickly of the bulls. Here you can see the bulls and the yoke on top. That's the oil. Then underneath their neck is the katrov. Knofayim hamakablos eretzuos. At the end of each side of the oil is a little circle, little ring, one there, which makablos eretzuos, the straps to pull and to turn right and turn left. The retzuos sit inside those knofayim, and the knofayim made out of metal are a kli in their own right. Habarzol shetachas tzavrei habehema. Underneath the neck of the behemoth there's a piece of metal. Now, Bartanura tells us this piece of metal is there to protect the animal so that it doesn't rub too hard and injure the animal. There's a problem with this in that normally a keli, which is a pure tashmish of a behemoth, known as a tabas behemoth, is tar. Therefore, we must say that this barzel, which is underneath the neck, is not just a pure tashmish behemoth. It also has in some way a tashmish of the actual ploughing. How? I don't know. Hasoymech v'hamachger. When the plough sits on the neck of the animal, there's a long pole which joins the oil to the thing it's pulling, the plough or the wagon. On top of the oil, there's a ring into which fits the long pole pulling the wagon. That ring made out of metal is called a soymech. The machger, again, different pshatim. At the back of the pole, the long pole goes all the way to the back and pulls the wagon. To stop the wagon twisting, jackknifing to the right or to the left, at the end of the pole there is a piece of metal sticking out, and that stops the wagon jackknifing. That's called a machger. Tamchuyos are metal plates at the side of the oil. I can show you a picture here. Here's the animal with the oil on top and the katrov underneath, and you can see on the side of the neck there are these round metal plates which are part of the oil. Inbul, the bell. There's a bell, and the inbul is the clapper. It sounds like the bell itself doesn't have much of a use, but the clapper is the thing which makes the noise, and therefore the inbul is a kli matros. Tzinoira. When you have the wagon, in the middle of the wagon you put a load. To stop the load sliding, shifting right and left, you have a big metal screw or pin which keeps the load in place. That pin by itself is a kli matros. And the last one, says the Mishnah, umasmeir hamachaber es kulon, the nail or the peg or the pin that joins it all together. Normally a masmar is not makabel tumah because it's either going to be stuck in the wall or it's just joined up to a kli. But this is a loose masmar. When you put the thing together, you have a nail which fits in and locks it together, bolts it together. And when you take it apart, every night maybe, you then take the masmor off. Because it's something which is misparik, it's loose, it gets put on and puts off, therefore it's called a proper kli tashmish by itself, and therefore is makabel tumah. That's Mishnah Dalet, and the next